Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Ashta Sakis Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Giri Govardhan ki jai. Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Panchatattva ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamam shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 20, new chapter, conversation between Maitreya and Vidura, text 1. Śaunaka uvāca mahīm pratiṣṭhām adhyasya saute svāyambhuvo manuḥ kāny anvatiṣṭhad dvārāṇi mārgāyāvara-janmanām. Śaunaka uvāca mahīm pratiṣṭhām adhyasya saute svāyambhuvo Manu kāny anvatiṣṭhad dvārāṇi mārgāyāvara-janmanām. Let's repeat. Śaunaka uvāca mahīm pratiṣṭhām adhyasya saute svāyambhuvo Manu kāny anvatiṣṭhad dvārāṇi mārgāyāvara-janmanām. Śaunaka uvāca mahīm pratiṣṭhām adhyasya saute svāyambhuvo Manu kāny anvatiṣṭhad dvārāṇi mārgāyāvara-janmanām. Śaunaka uvāca mahīm pratiṣṭhām adhyasya saute svāyambhuvo Manu kāny anvatiṣṭhad dvārāṇi mārgāyāvara-janmanām. Ladies. Śaunaka uvāca mahīm pratiṣṭhām adhyasya saute svāyambhuvo Manu kāny anvatiṣṭhad dvārāṇi mārgāyāvara-janmanām. Okay, word for word. Śaunakaḥ, Śaunaka. Uvāca said, mahīm, the earth, pratiṣṭhām, situated, adhyasya, having secured, saute, O Sūta Gosvāmī, svāyambhuvaḥ, svāyambhuva, manuḥ, manu, kāni, what, anvatiṣṭhad, performed, dvārāṇi, ways, mārgāya, to get out, avara, later, janmanām, of those to be born. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Śrī Śaunaka inquired, O Sūta Gosvāmī, after the earth was again situated in its orbit, What did Svāyambhuva Manu do to show the path of liberation to persons who were to take birth later on? Purport. The appearance of the Lord as the firstborn incarnation occurred during the time of Svāyambhuva Manu, whereas the present age is in the period of Vaivasvata Manu. Each Manu's period lasts 72 times the cycle of 4 yugas, and one cycle of ages equals 4,320,000 solar years. Thus, 4,320,000 times 72 solar years is the reign of one Manu. In each Manu's period, there are many changes in many ways, and there are 14 Manus within one day of Brahma. It is understood here that Manu creates scriptural regulations for the salvation of the conditioned souls who come to the material world for material enjoyment. The Lord is so kind that any soul who wants to enjoy in this material world is given full facility for enjoyment, and at the same time he is shown the path of salvation. Śaunaka Ṛṣi therefore inquired from Sūta Gosvāmī, what did Svāyambhuva Manu do after the reinstatement of the earth in its orbital situation? Om Gnānatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Śrī Gurave Namaha Śrī Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Śrī Guru Śrī Yuta Pada Kamalam Śrī Guru Vaishnavam Cha Śrī Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Śrī Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Śrī Vishakam Vitamscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Svarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasati Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This is the beginning of a new chapter, and like Radhika Nagara yesterday explained, one storyline finished, and now another storyline is beginning. And to begin a new story, we have a question from Śaunaka Ṛṣi. So this is typically how a story starts in Puranas, that inquirer is asking a question. And this is typical way to ask a question if you're ever in a situation where some sadhu is speaking and you want him to speak further, and you think, oh, what can I ask to encourage him to speak further? So this is the formula given not only Bhagavatam, in all Puranas, that after such and such thing happened, then this person, what did he do? Or what did these personalities did? And then the new story begins, just like in beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsava mamaka pandavaschaiva kima kurvata Sanjaya. So after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is a place of pilgrimage, with the intention to fight. So then what did they do? Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjaya, so, which is, well, if they intended to fight, they were probably fighting. Yes, but before they were fighting, we hear the whole Bhagavad Gita. And I liked how Radhika Nagar, he made comparison with the cartoons. He said, I was watching cartoons when I was a child, and sometimes one episode is one story, and the next episode is another story. And sometimes one story expands and spans over many episodes, overarching the several episodes. And then when this big story ends, that he said, I was afraid that this now cartoon will finish, but then luckily more episodes came about. So similarly in the Bhagavatam, we also have sometimes one chapter is one story, and then there is title, and whatever title says, it is explained in that chapter. But sometimes we have, like in this third canto, that one story spans many chapters. So this story that finished was the story of Lord Varaha. And this story started in the beginning of the 13th chapter. And then we were hearing 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, how Lord Varaha appeared, how he lifted the earth from Garbhodaka ocean, how he fought Hiranyaksha, how Jaya and Vijay were cursed to become demons in material world. So all this is, we can say, it's one story. And from now this is concluded, and new story starts, which is about Devahuti and Kardama Muni. But before, just we can ask, just like a good cartoon does not just make these stories not connected, that just one story ends and another begins in a mechanical way, but there is always some introduction and some continuation to make us connected with the characters, to make them come more alive. So similarly, Vyasadeva, he is not just mechanically ending one story and beginning another, but we follow many personalities who are telling these stories. So then sometimes narration shifts from one conversation to another conversation to another conversation. Like we were saying yesterday, we are hearing Bhagavatam is being spoken by Śukadeva Gosvāmī to Parikshit Maharaj, which is being told by Sūta Gosvāmī to Naimisharanya sages, which are represented by Śaunaka Ṛṣi, who at the end of the second canto is asking questions. What did Vidura ask Maitreya, and what did Maitreya answer him? So then from the beginning of the third canto till the end of the fourth canto, we will be hearing conversations between Vidura and Maitreya, and then occasionally we will get, like here, Śaunaka Ṛṣi will encourage Sūta Gosvāmī to speak more. So this connection between these two stories, to see the connection, we have to go back to where this story of Varaha started. And it started also by a question. But this question was actually Vidura interrupting Maitreya, who was speaking, giving a list. So I want to go through this list that Vidura was speaking. So one thing is that I like lists. Sometimes people are not happy that in Bhagavatam we have many lists. They would like that Bhagavatam should just be stories, and then these lists are boring, and it's not clear why are they there, lists of kings, lists of names. And like in this case, this list that Maitreya Muni is giving is list of personalities and, we can say, manifestations or phenomena that Brahma created directly from his body. So, like I said, one thing is that I like lists. Another thing is that in this chapter we will hear continuation of this list. Maitreya Muni didn't finish his list, so he was interrupted. So after so many chapters, he wants to finish his list of these manifestations that Brahma created. And then the next story will start. So the list starts with, they're given, these items on this list are given in, we can say, chronological order. So what was first created is mentioned first, and then what was next created is mentioned second. So he first created, Lord Brahma, nascent engagements like self-deception, the sense of death, anger after frustration, sense of false ownership, illusory bodily conception, or forgetfulness of one's real identity. And then it was explained how these things, they were difficult for Brahma to create, but they were needed because the nature of material worlds needs to be such that the material world facilitates all this fearfulness and forgetfulness, because we have this idea that we can enjoy separately from Krishna. So that's why these things need to be created. Then Lord Brahma, he manifested from his body 4 great sages, Saunaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. And he gave them instruction, okay, now you create progeny. But they refused. They decided, no, we're going to stay children. We're not going to be engaged in this business of procreation. Then Lord Brahma got angry. And from his forehead, Rudra appeared. And this Rudra was very fearful because he was created from the anger of Lord Brahma. So when he asked where are his places of residence, he was given these places: heart, senses, air of life, sky, air, fire, water, earth, sun, moon, and austerity. And then Lord Brahma also gave him the same instruction that, okay, you now, my son, you create progeny. And Rudra did. But his progeny were all very fearful beings who were only able to engage in destroying the universe. So then Lord Brahma, this was not what he wanted, so he was a little bit disappointed again. And he said, no, you, my dear son Rudra, this procreation is not for you. You just do austerities and don't create any more beings. Then Lord Brahma created 10 sons, and they were meant again for the extension of generations. So they are known as Marici, Atri, Angira, Pulastya, Pulaha, Kratu, Brigu, Vasishta, Daksha, and Narada. Marici created from mind, Atri from eyes, Angira from mouth, Pulastya from ears, Pulaha from navel, Kratu from hand, Brigu from touch, Vasishta from breathing, and Daksha from thumb, and Narada from deliberation. So next, Brahma continued the creation, and he was creating living beings, and he was also creating facilities, we can say, for the living beings to live in the material world. So from his breast he created religion, from his back irreligion, from his heart lust and desire. Between his eyebrows he created anger, between his lips greed, from his mouth he created power of speaking, from his genitals he created oceans, from his anus he created low and abominable activities. From the shadow of Brahma he created sage Kardama. So all these manifestations were created either from the body or the mind of Lord Brahma. Then he also created Vak, the goddess of speech, and he became attracted to her. And we know how this created disturbance, especially among his sons. And then he discarded that body, he created for himself another body, and continued manifesting different phenomena, we can say. So from 4 mouths, he created 4 Vedas, and he also created 4 kinds of paraphernalia for conducting the fire sacrifice. The performer, the chanter, the offerer, the fire, the action performed. He created also 4 principles of religiosity: truth, austerity, mercy, and cleanliness, and also duties in the 4 social orders. So already here, Vidura is asking, I guess it's not easy to just listen a list. You want to interrupt and ask some questions. So already here, Vidura is asking how and with whose help Brahma established the Vedic knowledge which emanated from his mouth. So this is a question which is similar to this question that Śaunaka Ṛṣi is asking. But the list continues. Front face of Brahma, he created Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva Veda. Then he created Vedic hymns, priestly rituals, subject matters of the recitation, and transcendental activities. Then medical science, military art, musical art, architectural science. He created 5th Veda Puranas from all his mouths. Then different varieties of fire sacrifices. Shodashi, Ukta, Purishi, Agnishtoma, Aptaryama, Ati, Ratra, Vajapeya, Gosava. From the eastern mouth of Brahma, these fires were created. Then he creates education, charity, penance, and truth, from which are the 4 legs of religion. And then to learn that there are 4 orders of life with different classifications of castes according to vocation, Brahma created in systematic order. So we can say this is the Varnashrama system. Then he created thread ceremony for the twice born, rules to be followed for at least 1 year after acceptance of the Vedas, rules for observing complete abstinence from sex life, vocations in terms of Vedic injunctions, various professional duties in household life, method of maintaining a livelihood without anyone's cooperation by picking up rejected grains. This I found very interesting because it's never mentioned that he created grains, but it's now mentioned that this method of maintaining a livelihood is created, which you would expect that he would mention grains first. Then, 4 divisions of retired life: Vaikanasas, Valakilyas, Audambaras, Penapas. Then 4 divisions of the renounced order: Kutichakas, Bhavodas, Hamsas, Nishkriyas, manifested. Then from the mouths of Brahma, he manifested science of logical argument, Vedic goals of life, law and order, moral codes, celebrated hymns, like Om Bhū Sva. Pranava Omkara he manifested from his heart. Art of literary expression, Ushnik from the hairs on the body of Brahma. Principal Vedic hymn, Gayatri, generated from the skin. Trishtup from flesh, Anushtup from veins, Jagati from bones. Art of writing verse, Pankti from the bone marrow, Brihati, which is also verse, type of verse, generated from the life breath. And then Brahma's soul manifested as the touch alphabets, his body as the vowels, senses as the sibilant alphabets, strength, intermediate alphabets, sensual activities, 7 notes of music. And then Brahma accepted as Brahma accepted another body, he manifested Svāyambhuva Manu and Shatarupa from this body. And then we will hear that Svāyambhuva Manu and Shatarupa, they had 5 children, 2 sons, Priyavrata and Uttanapada, and 3 daughters, Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. Akuti was married to Ruchi, Devahuti to Kardama, and Prasuti to Daksha. And from them, all the world filled with population. So we can say they are our ancestors. So then Vidura asked the question, what did Svāyambhuva do after obtaining his very loving wife? And we can say the story or storyline of Lord Varaha starts from this question. And then we have a brief conversation of this is beginning of the 13th chapter. We have a brief conversation between Svāyambhuva Manu and Lord Brahma. So Svāyambhuva Manu, he's very obedient, unlike the 4 Kumaras. And he's asking Lord Brahma, give us your direction for the execution of duty within our working capacity. So Lord Brahma, at this point, he's very happy that he finally got a son who is very obedient and who is able to follow his instructions. And he speaks to Svāyambhuva Manu. So I ask you first to beget children, because there's a wife, so he should beget children with his wife. Then I ask you to rule the world in pursuance of the principles of devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Manu, just like we have kings, like Yudhishthira, he was the emperor of the earth, but Manus, they are ruling the whole universe. For this period mentioned, 71 cycle of Chatur Yugas. Then he also asks Manu to give protection to the living beings in the material world. That will be the best service for me. So Manu is in charge of giving protection, just like any king is responsible for giving protection to the citizens. So Manu is also in charge of giving protection to all the living entities. And how is he giving protection? He is giving protection by distributing Vedic culture, Vedic knowledge, and also by writing scriptures like Manu Samhita. So because at that point there was no earth. The earth was submerged. So Manu asks, Svāyambhuva Manu, so now that you have given me instruction to create progeny and living entities, please let me know, I need some place to live and where all other living entities born of me can also live. So, and as the earth is inside the ocean, please lift it or make an attempt to lift it so that it floats on top of the ocean. So at that point, Brahma was a little bit thinking how to lift the earth. It seems that this task was too difficult for him. He didn't know how to do it. So while he was thinking, from his nose, little boar came as he was breathing out, and this boar expanded, and we know that this was Lord Varaha, who lifted the earth. And then he fought demon Hiranyaksha. So this we have been hearing from the 13th chapter. I want to also, well, in 2 days is Radhashtami, so I want to make some connection. It's not easy to make connection between this list and celebration of Srimati Radharani, but I want to try. Because in Kali Yuga, we can see from all these items that Brahma created that the world is maintained through Vedic culture. He created scriptures, he created all these verses and all these facilities for people to practice spiritual life, practice religion, and then piously enjoy, and then also by satisfying their material desires gradually, they are able to understand that actually we need to advance to the level where we no longer want material enjoyment and we want to go back to Godhead and exit material world. That's the purpose of all these scriptures and all this protection from sages and from Manus also, like in Manu Samhita, Manu says, Pravritir esha bhutanam nivriti-shtu mahapalam, that everyone in material life is attracted to furthering the attachment, which is pravriti marg, but the greatest treasure is to be gained by following the path of detachment, nivriti marg. So although Manu is in charge of facilitating economic development by teaching people how to practice ritualistic sacrifices, his own scripture says that actually higher than pravriti marg is nivriti marg, where we actually want to be detached from the objects of our senses. And this is the real, like he says, mahapala, the greatest fruit. And we may say we don't see any of this. It's not perceived by us as reality. We are in Kali Yuga, and situation is such that we think that we can do economic progress by being atheistic. We have so much machines, we have so much technology, we are not doing any yagyas, we are not performing any sacrifices. So, and still we have advanced so much. Therefore, all these scriptures, they are not really, we cannot take them seriously, because we see that everything is working without all these instructions. So we as devotees, we actually say, no, these solutions, whatever there are for any kind of progress or economic development, they are not sustainable because they are not based on Shastra. And we can see, just as Brahma created, well, he created Vedic culture. This is the only sustainable social organization that can last for a long time. And Kali Yuga is very short time. We are informed in 1:110 Prayena upayusha sabya kala vasmin yuge janaha manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hyupadrutaha. In this iron age of Kali, men almost always have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So this is not environment where, which we can say it's not conducive to practice spiritual life. For practicing spiritual life, one needs a good body, healthy body, peaceful mind, a lot of time. We can say some environment which is definitely not disturbing, some peaceful environment, nature. He needs to be surrounded with cows and agriculture, so that he doesn't need to worry where to live, where is my next meal coming from. This is ideal situation for a living entity to practice spirituality. And in Kali Yuga, we have anything but that. We have such a disturbing situations. Many people, they are so worried. They don't have jobs. They cannot find jobs. Even if they have jobs, there is inflation, and it's expensive to pay apartments, and you never know when you will be evicted. So it's not a situation conducive for practicing spirituality. Although we seem to have all this knowledge available, but it's hidden, or not hidden anymore. We see that, for example, in Vedic culture, like here, Brahma, he created all these items, yagyas and fires and verses. So in traditional Vedic culture, all this access to Vedas was very exclusive. Only Brahmanas were allowed to study the Vedas. Only Brahmanas were allowed to chant mantras. Only Brahmanas were allowed to worship deities. And to become a Brahmana, one would need to be born in a family of a Brahmana. This is how this caste system was functioning. So therefore, anybody who is not born in a family of Brahmana, he is considered not qualified, not pure enough to access Vedic knowledge. And especially people who were not born in India, like foreigners, outsiders, they were considered lechas and yavanas, who were definitely not even, we can say, qualified to, they were not even allowed to enter temples. Just like we know, for example, foreigners are not allowed to enter Jagannath temple. Because it is considered that we are not able to respect the Lord. So instead of this type of Vedic culture where the knowledge is very exclusive, we have today Sankirtan movement, which was introduced by Lord Chaitanya. And his Sankirtan movement is predicted in Bhagavatam itself. Krishna Varnam Tvishakrisham Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayai Ryajantihi Sumeda Saha. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. This is a verse spoken by Karabhajana to Maharaj Nimi. So what is Sankirtan movement? What is Sankirtan movement trying to achieve? Like if you were like me, a Westerner, what are your chances of coming in contact with Vedas? Very little. Why? Like I know that I was very exciting to try book distribution, which was very funny because my personality is completely like not very conducive with doing book distribution, but I was enthusiastic, so I tried. I know I was knocking on the door, and I had nobody to teach me how to do Sankirtan. I just kind of got some books, and I went knocking on the door. And then when people opened the door, I would ask him, "Are you interested in Vedas?" So it was very fun. And people looked at me like I'm crazy, really, because this is not how you would sell a book normally. I mean, you have to present like this is something that people can relate to, not some Vedas, especially in, of course, where I come from. So we are exposed to this knowledge by walking in the street, because then if you walk, or of course this is rare that somebody would knock on your door, but if you walk on the street, you might meet a Sankirtan devotee who is trying to sell your book. You might see a Harinam going, and just like I remember once seeing Harinam. I was on my break from work, and it was a sitting Harinam, and I thought they are unusual, and somehow in my heart I appreciated them. But at that time I couldn't imagine that I would be living in India or being connected. But from that appreciation, something grew. Or we might also walk in the street and be suddenly in the middle of a Ratha Yatra procession. I remember last year when we had Ratha Yatra in my home country, and we were getting ready, and chariots were there, and all the devotees dressed in saris, dhotis. And I remember one street sweeper, he was sweeping the street. And then when I guess that's his job, he is sweeping that street every day. That's just his route. And that time, he just looked at us and he was very confused. He's cleaning the street every day, and suddenly there's chariot, there are devotees, there is music, there is somebody distributing cookies, somebody is approaching him with book. He was like so bewildered. And I was thinking, oh, what a fortunate person. He just swept this street for the Lord to take his ride through. So it was he did service like cleaning the temple, basically. And this reminded me how in Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada says, it's better to be honest street sweeper than a charlatan meditator. And so this is how we are given opportunity to participate in Sankirtan movement, because we meet devotees, usually we meet them on the street. This is pure, we can say, pure mercy. Pure mercy, and we can see that this is mercy of Srimati Radharani, because it doesn't make any sense to take something which is highest, which is most exclusive knowledge, which is the, how to say, the possession of the most prestigious living entity, this Vedic knowledge and culture that is practiced. So it doesn't make any sense that you take this highest knowledge, most secretive knowledge, which should be protected so that it is not misused, and that it is not only misused, but deviated by people who are not pure and not qualified. So definitely this is something most sacred, most deserving of protection, most deserving of being not available to everybody. So it doesn't make any sense to take this kind of knowledge and take it on the streets and distribute it, and to make it available to anybody and everybody, and to try them to not only make it available, but to try to get these people to join, which means you become like us. Like we are cultivating Brahminical culture. So you also, you people who smoke, who drink, who do all kinds of illicit activities, you become like us, to have this kind of confidence. This is really something outrageous. And we can see that all our acharyas, they had to fight to explain to their contemporary, we can say, brahmanas in their time, or other sampradayas. They had to really fight very hard, writing books in Sanskrit, philosophical elaborations, how this is a genuine path, this is genuine sampradaya. And even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he was also fighting very hard just to establish this we can say, this, I want to say, this idea that Brahmana can make others Brahmanas, that somebody who has good qualities and is generous and is very convinced in his religious practice, that he can make others also like him, to change their mentality, to make them give up their sinful life, and to make them become very first-class religious person. And this is our heritage today, that we are here because they believed that that was possible. And not only that it was possible for us, or that it will be in the future, of course, who can claim that we represent, that we are what they were hoping we represent their level. We certainly are not. We just try to be. But also that this system, this Sankirtan movement, can continue for next 10,000 years, and that this process of bringing people from sinful life to being high-class, religious, pure, qualified brahmanas, that this is possible. And this is how Sankirtan movement is expanding, because those people who are able, they change the lives and the hearts of other sinful people whom they meet on the street, basically. And the conclusion is that this is the mercy of Srimati Radharani, because she is the compassionate counterpart of the Lord. And without her mercy, all this would not have been possible, and we would never be able to approach Krishna without this mercy. Who knows for how many lifetimes we would just be wandering from one lifetime of sinful activities to another, but she made this arrangement for us very mercifully. We are not deserving. We are given a very prestigious position to participate in this Sankirtan movement. So I think it's, there's a reflection, so I'm not seeing, but I think it's, okay, 2 minutes if there are some these comments or questions or corrections. Okay, we can conclude that Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gora Brahmanande, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Jai, Gora Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.